August 22nd, 1944. Outside Argentan, France, the night skies bruised purple with smoke. Rain lashes the cratered fields where German infantry cold, soaked, and hungry huddle in silence. Private Karlovas, 21 years old, rubs mud from his rifle and listens to a distant, rhythmic thunder. Not artillery, not tanks. Something deeper, steadier. He turns to his Sergeant Panzer column. The man shakes his head, listening. No. Trucks. Many trucks. The sound rolls across the dark countryside, a never-ending growl that seems to pulse from every road leading west. Voss imagines columns of steel beasts marching through the night. But these aren't tanks. Their supply tracks thousands of them, feeding the advancing American armies like blood coursing through veins. The Wehrmacht is breaking. Fuel is gone. Horses die where they fall, left unburied beside burned wagons. And yet, somehow, the Americans never stop moving. Every hour their tanks roll farther east. Every morning their planes take off fully fueled. To the Germans trapped in retreat, it feels impossible. By dawn, the road beyond Argentan is alive with motion. Jeeps do Sanda-halves, fuel trucks a river of khaki metal stretching to the horizon. White stars gleam on every hood. Carl watches from a hedgerow. Hedgerow SGIs toss him glances from open cabins. Some chew gum. One waves casually, like this was no war at all. He mutters under his breath. How can they move like this? Where does it all come from? The answer known to him then lies far behind the lines, where an army of drivers, dispatchers, and mechanics is performing one of the greatest logistical miracles in military history. The Red Ball Express has begun. August 25th, 1944. Near Saint-Lay, Normandy. Engines roar in unison as hundreds of olive-drab trucks line the narrow French roads. Dust swirls through the warm air, coating windshields and faces in a film of tan grit. Their Red Bull Express is alive, a ceaseless artery stretching from the beaches of Normandy to the front lines now surging toward Paris. Sergeant Eddie Johnson, 24, grips the steering wheel of his GMC Deuce and a half. The truck rattles like an angry machine, but he keeps her steady. He has been driving for 14 hours without rest, and he'll drive another 10 before the next stop. Behind him, another convoy follows at 60-yard intervals, headlights masked, each marked with a bright red circle painted on the bumper. Red Bull, the symbol of priority. Nothing stops these trucks. No detours, no delays, no excuses. Their mission, to feed the front. Keep it rolling, boys. Johnson shouts over the radio. Ain't no gas, ain't no victory. The Red Ball Express was born in desperation. After the breakout from Normandy in early August 1944, the Allied advance moved faster than anyone expected, too fast. Frontline tanks and half-tracks began running dry. Ammunition dwindled. Food spoiled in depots, left miles behind on the beaches. General Dwight D. Eisenhower, facing a logistical nightmare, ordered an all-out effort to move supplies forward. The result: 6,000 trucks, 23,000 drivers, and a supply network operating 24 hours a day across enemy-scarred roads. Most of the drivers are young, many just 19 or 20, and a majority of them African-American soldiers from segregated units. Men like Eddie Johnson and his buddy, Corporal Leroy Carter, who crack jokes to keep from falling asleep behind the wheel. Hey, Eddie, Carter grins, leaning out his window. You think Jerry even knows who has feeding the army that is chassing him? Eddie laughs. He'll know soon enough when Patton rolls through his backyard. Above them, the sky hums with distant aircraft, Allied fighters patrolling for any sign of the Luftwaffe. But the Germans are retreating too fast, too beaten, to interfere. The greatest threat now isn't the enemy, it's exhaustion, blown tires, and the endless grind of road and time. They roll past burnt-out French villages, their headlights cutting through ghostly fog. Every few miles, roadside mechanics wait, with spare parts. MPs wave flags to keep traffic flowing. There are no traffic lights, no stops, no brakes. Just movement, end to end. The Red Bull Express covers nearly 700 miles. In its first 81 days, it hauls more than 400,000 tons of Supplice fuel for Patton's Third Army, shells for the 101st Airborne, food for the millions marching east. The Germans dante, yet to understand what they're rehearing in the night. The rolling thunder that never stops, but soon they will. September 2nd, 1944. Near the Meuse River, France. A retreating German column winds through the misty countryside, weary, hungry, half in disbelief. What was once the mighty Wehrmacht now looks like a procession of ghosts. Wagons creak, pulled by skeletal horses. Soldiers drag their boots through the mud, rifles slung low, eyes hollow. From a ridge above the road, Lieutenant Hans Reuter scans the valley through his binoculars. He sees dust rising on the horizon, not from tanks, but from convoys. Endless convoys. He lowers the glasses, blinking. That can't be one column, he murmurs. It's too long. Oberfeldwebel Krause, his aide, squints. Trucks, sir. American. Hundreds of them. Reuter watches as the line twists through the field's olive trucks, packed with fuel drums, crates, and spare tires, each marked with the same red circle. They move in formation, fast and constant, with a precision that feels mechanical, almost industrial. He has seen the enemy's tanks and bombers. He has faced their infantry and their artillery. But this is something different. This is organization as a weapon. Every night, the sound, Kruse mutters. Engines, all night, even when the shelling stops. Reuter nods slowly. They do not stop. That is why we are losing. For the German command, the realization comes too late. Their own supply lines, once the backbone of Blitzkrieg, are shattered. Allied bombers have turned rail networks into twisted wreckage. Fuel shortages, ground entire divisions. In some units, tanks are abandoned for lack of diesel. But across the front, the Americans seem immune to fatigue. Patton's spearheads move faster than any army in history. Every time the Germans expect them to slow, the Americans simply keep coming. Captured German officers, questioned later, described their astonishment. They have more gasoline than we have water, one said. Another muttered, even their food is transported in luxury chocolate, fruit, cigarettes. We live on potatoes, they on miracles. Those miracles come courtesy of the Red Ball Express. Its trucks rumble through bombed-out villages, through nights without headlights, through rain and shellfire. Drivers sleep sitting up, heads nodding against steering wheels. Mechanics crawl under trucks still dripping fuel, repairing axles in the dark. And still, the flow doesn't stop. The Red Bull's motto is simple. Let's get it there. It becomes a symbol of relentless movement of an industrial nation turning its factories, its fuel, and its people into a single, unstoppable machine. In a field not far from Reuter's position, German soldiers pause to watch as one convoy passes within earshot. They can hear the low growl of engines through the trees. A sound, like distant thunder. One of them whispers. It's like the earth itself is moving. The others don't answer. They just listen to the sound of an empire being outpaced, mile by mile, by a road of trucks that never stops rolling. September 15th, 1944. The highway loop from Argentan to Chartres, France. At sunrise, a pale French mist blankets the fields. Along the designated one-way route of the Red Ball Express, military police in white-crossed helmets wave flags and clear the way. Red-painted balls on truck bumpers signify priority. To the young driver of a GMC 2.5-ton Jimmy, Staff Sergeant Robert Davis, the roar of 6,000 trucks at once is the defining sound of the campaign. He glances at his partner, Private James Jimmy Thompson, sitting beside him. Jimmy rubs sleep from his eyes. They've been on the road since midnight, a two-man team, rotating driving shifts every few hours. There's no rest when the advance keeps moving. The tanks keep going. So do the trucks. Tout de suite, Jimmy Davis mutters in the dim cab, using the French phrase that drivers have adopted right now. Jimmy nods. Right now, it never stops. The two men barrel eastward. Their load, 3,000 gallons of gasoline, 20mm anti-aircraft shells, rations for the 3rd Armored Division, and spare tank tracks. Their destination, a forward depot just outside Chartres, newly set up to support the surge toward the Seine and beyond. As they roll through a narrow village, a church steeple stands battered but still upright. German wreckage litters the roadside, broken half-tracks, decimated infantry weapons, abandoned packs. A local shepherd leads his flock, pausing to watch the passing Steel River. Jimmy cracks a grin. Look at him. Sergeant, our mess is their mess. Davis doesn't smile back. He's focused on the mile markers. Every truck he passes, there's a white star in that red circle. They're all moving. Constant. Relentless. While German logistics stall in a maze of wrecked rails and horse-drawn wagons, the Allies drive through. German intelligence is abuzz. Gestapo intercepts mention endless trucks. Fuel coming from nowhere. The Americans eating sweets while we scrape potatoes. The Wehrmacht has lost its rhythm. Its supply trains lie derailed. Its horse teams exhausted. Its fuel gone. The Red Bull Express is modern war incarnate. By late September, the Express has delivered more than 300,000 tons of supplies in less than a month. At its peak, nearly 6,000 vehicles haul over 12,000 tons per day. Drivers endure flat tires, broken transmissions, mines, and even Luftwaffe strafing, though the Germans rarely strike this flank anymore. They're simply too far behind. In the cab, Davis grips the wheel as the truck hits a crater. Jimmy cusses under his breath. The truck shudders, but keeps rolling. Stopping isn't an option. Maintenance teams wait along the route with spare parts. Every hour saved pushes another Allied unit closer to the Rhine. The French countryside blurs past apple orchards, hedgerows, shell-torn fields, and rows of white crosses. Yet inside the convoys, the mood is calm. No cheering. No fanfare. Just rhythm, drive, unload, turn around. The mantra remains the same. Keep them rolling. Behind them, engineers stretch pipelines and rebuild rails. But until those lines reopen, the trucks remain the lifeline. The Germans once stunned the world with blitz. Now, they're being outpaced, choked by wheels and engines. German divisions still rely on horses. 2.8 million of them. Meanwhile, the Americans move men and material across hundreds of miles with speed the Wehrmacht never imagined. General George S. Patton once said, "The 2.5-ton truck is our most valuable weapon." He was half joking, but not wrong. Tanks can't move without fuel. Infantry can't fight without shells. The trucks are the bloodstream of the advancing army. At dusk, Robert and Jimmy pull into the bivouac zone. A cook hands them coffee and a warm meal. The roar of engines fades slightly, only to rise again in a few hours. Daily boots still on. Rifles ne'er bien rest. Sure, dawn will bring another run, another load, another link in the chain. As sleep closes in, Jimmy murmurs, "You think the Germans hear us coming?" Robert replies quietly, "They not only hear us, they're watching the echo we leave behind." And indeed, they are. Across the Ardennes, deep in the Reich's tunnels, German officers whisper the same message. The American supply chain never ends. A small crack in morale, but a decisive one. Because wars are not won only at the front lines. They're won by the roads that lead to them. And in that September dawn in France, one road never stopped flowing. October 20th, 1944. East of the Meuse, France. The advancing lines of the Red Bull Express now stretch nearly 700 miles from the beaches of Normandy to depots just west of the German border. The trucks roll beneath autumn skies. The forests glow, gold and red, scarred by war. And still, the roar continues. A convoy led by First Lieutenant Henry Miller of the 690th Truck Company winds through a narrow pass. At patrol points, military police checked for the red ball markings. Civilians in orange vests wave the drivers through French civilians who have long grown used to the endless rumble of engines. Miller recognizes one old man standing by the road, nodding a quiet good morning. "A waves bike thanks to you," the man says softly. Earlier in the campaign, German commanders believed that destroying railways would cripple the Allied advance. They succeeded, for a time. But then, the truckers took over. The rail lines lay shattered, the bridges blown apart, yet the express kept moving. The Germans' own blitzkrieg on wheels had turned against them. Now, it was the Allies who mastered movement. The Red Ball Express outpaced their defenses faster than they could regroup, faster than they could even believe, inside German headquarters. General Gunther Blumentritt wrote in frustration, "The American logistic machine astonishes us. The noise of these moving columns, the supplies arriving when we thought we had cut the line." That message, later intercepted and decoded, reached Allied intelligence. It confirmed what the front already knew. Germany was losing the race to supply. For the Red Bull drivers, the danger never truly ended. Lines waited in the ditches, hissing beneath tires. Luftwaffe scouts appeared at dawn, though Allied air power kept them at bay. The drivers moved under blackout covers, guided only by faint cat eyes, slits of light on each vehicle's tailgate. They drove blind, trusting the road and the rhythm. By late October, the load began to ease. Rail lines and pipelines finally took over. The Red Bull Express had done its job. In just 82 days, it had delivered over 412,000 tons of fuel, food, and ammunition. The route's formal operation would end by mid-November, as Antwerp and the railheads assumed control. Robert and Jimmy, veterans of the route, made their final trips. The sound of engines still echoed in their ears. They unloaded crates, checked their trucks one last time, and pulled into a rest area. Exhausted, proud, victorious. The war was far from over, but the lifeline they built had already shaped its outcome. As the sun set over the spires of Chartres, Robert looked down the now empty highway. No convoys. No engines, just silence. He exhaled. "We rolled it all the way." Jimmy smiled. "Yeah, maybe they never heard us coming. They just saw the thunder. And that thunder, the rolling heartbeat of 6,000 trucks. The night helped break the back of Germany's war machine. The enemy was not just defeated by American firepower, but by American movement. The road to victory was paved, not with tanks alone, but with trucks that never stopped rolling.